baton, back of the neck, spine, head, and solar plexus. So they've got actual charts directing US troops on how to take out Americans within the continental United States. And as you mentioned before, it's in line with previous military documents which say the same thing. They talk about using lethal force to deal with unruly crowds within the United States.
And I want to explain, they have engineered the deindustrialization, the power prices increasing, the food prices increasing, the collapse, just like they engineered the Arab Spring. We told people that a year before it happened. Google released the info that they organized it in Watford, England. And so they are using their computer systems to war game this, and all of humanity is under attack. So they are orchestrating the Foundation-run New Black Panthers and the Al Sharpton FBI informants and others to go stir stuff up, then cause the clash so they can sell this idea. But remember, behind the scenes, 24/7, the main training is to take on gun owners. So once they're done crushing the inner city people and using the welfare riots that are coming as the pretext, they will then go after everybody else, including the police and their pensions. This is the end of freedom in America. None of us should be going along with this. This is the coming out of the NSA, the coming out of the cell phone kill switches, the coming out of the surveillance, the coming out of the MRAPs and the sound cannons, right as they all get delivered and right as the St. Louis police and others were told, get ready for martial law in the last few months, Paul. We've seen a flurry of activity getting ready for this, and then right on time, this starts. And then now the family is out here with this, quote, celebrity medical examiner stirring it up, saying he was executed. And I've looked at it. There's no evidence of that. This is bad news. And then a lot of dumbed-down people go, why are you for the cops? Don't you want to have a burn everything down? This will destroy everybody. This is so stupid. But I tell you, Americans have killed 53 million babies and said they weren't human. So maybe we just deserve to live under this. I mean, it's just, if the public is so stupid and the police are dumb enough to shoot at reporters for no reason, maybe this is a country that's just done, Paul. I mean, I know the riots in your country, they allowed them to go on and provocateured a bunch of it and got caught to expand the police state. This is sick. Paul Watson.
Well, the key point that I emphasized was the fact that when the police were actually needed to deal with the looting, both on the first night and on the Friday night, they were completely AWOL. But they were out in force when it came to tear gassing Al Jazeera journalists and firing rubber bullets at peaceful protesters. Because remember, after the first night of looting, it was largely peaceful up until Friday night. Remember, I think it was on Thursday night, they had some of the police come out and walk with the demonstrators. So then everybody's thinking, oh, this is de-escalating because they've actually followed some semblance of common sense and withdrew the militarized goon squads pointing snipers at people. And this looks like it could be calming down. And immediately the next night, they're back out in force again. And again, it goes back to that militarized police state tactic only inflames tensions. It only encourages more violence from the crowd and from the other elements that have poured in, like the new Black Panthers, which, of course, the original Black Panthers have completely distanced themselves from this organization because it's proven to be militant, radicalized, and in some cases violent. And this guy, Shabazz, this new Black Panther leader, was pictured working with the local police down there a couple of days ago, which is quite odd because at the very same time, the FBI put out a warning saying that the new Black Panthers were, quote, advocating violence against the police. And yet here's the leader of them coordinating with the police. You've got others writing incendiary messages on Facebook. And then, of course, you've got a history of new Black Panthers being outed as federal informants, like Richard Aoki, who was outed as an FBI informant in 2012. You've got communists down there who look like they're part of the violence, throwing the Molotov cocktails. So as soon as those elements came in on Friday night, whereas before it was largely peaceful, then we saw the violence, which justified in the eyes of the authorities and the media the subsequent crackdown. So it's a symbiotic relationship the militarized police state, the DHS, which of course is part of that with the contracts for the armored vehicles, they only benefit from more violence, and they sure got it as soon as these rogue elements arrived on Friday night.
Well, Paul, you have broken this down with absolute precision. I'm going to be back on the Nightly News tonight trying to condense this down to 3 or 4 minutes so people have a short video they can send friends and family. But if this video we put out from this live show is an hour long, everyone should forward it to friends and family. This is a premeditated takeover. It's going to be made to look like it's just responding to current events. It's not. We have got to warn everybody now before it's too late and try to turn this around. You're a smart guy, Watson. I respect your view on things. I'm going to be thinking when the show ends here in a few minutes about what I can do to try to turn this around. Even if we can't turn it around, it's our moral responsibility too. Do you have any idea in your gut on ways to diffuse this or stop it? Obviously, reach out to the military and the police, but they're going to be getting attacked by real people. So how do you expect them not to respond? And then you got people in the police taking orders to escalate things, attacking reporters, arresting reporters in McDonald's, attacking our people. You can see how the training itself is designed to escalate things. So do you have any views on how we can turn this around?
I would encourage people to get behind a huge campaign, which is embryonic in some cases, but we've certainly seen it, to completely defund and eventually abolish the Department of Homeland Security, because that's where these local police departments are getting the grants to buy the armored vehicles, to buy the military-style weapons that are the tools of this militarized police state. So it's all emanating from the DHS, which of course was put in place to fight terrorists back after 9/11. Now it's harassing people with 6 carloads of DHS goons who go to somebody's house who owns a Land Rover, which might or might not violate the EPA's emission rules. So it's an agency.
Did you see the article about 2 girls fighting with paddles, rowboat paddles, in a front yard? So DHS in an MRAP showed up. I mean, this is getting wild. And you just said it, just like in Katrina, FEMA stood down, cut the police communications to make it as bad as possible, to bring in the Army and gun confiscate. They got their funding roughly doubled for emergencies. So now, by making this as bad as possible, they can come in as the saviors, get even more funding, and legitimize the MRAPs, the helicopters, the drones, all of it, which is really being prepared for the American people.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of people on the so-called right, conservatives, just don't realize it. They've been coddled into this belief that this is just a bunch of hoodlums, which, granted, it's turning out to be that way because a lot of them are descended on the scene as criminal opportunists. But, you know, they had FPS, Homeland Security agents, guarding Tea Party and anti-IRS rallies earlier this year. So it's not just trained against, you know, poor black people in these minority communities. It's destined to be used against everyone. So we need to protect everybody's constitutional rights and, you know, try and reach out to those military people and the cops and say that this is going to be directed against their families in the future. And
well, a lot of them know that, Paul, but it's just incrementally rolled out. The warrantless blood checkpoints, the helicopters, the surveillance looking through the walls, the threat fusion centers, all the illegal NSA surveillance. The point is, the bad guys run the top of the pyramid. And so it doesn't matter how good the guys are at the bottom or the middle. This country's being converted into an authoritarian state. And now the Army would put in a public document that they're preparing to, quote, shoot peaceful people and to mow down crowds of peaceful people. The headline should be, Army prepares to legalize Kent State massacres. This is so sensational. Army manual prepares premeditated, homicidal mass murder program. I mean, that's what this is, how to shoot unarmed people to create a psychological fear in the public. I mean, this is war crime stuff This is war crimes under the Geneva Convention in a public document. We've known this has been going on behind the scenes for a while. But now it's in a public document, Paul Watson. So more coming out at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. But again, this is pointed at America. The globalists want the pension funds. They want the banks. They want the rural property. This is Agenda 21. But how do you think they would get the military ready to take over America? They would have a simulant, a crisis, a pretext, a cover story, a bunch of, you know, rioting gangbangers who just want an excuse to have thug life writ large, Grand Theft Auto. And now here it is. Absolutely scripted, right on time. We predicted it. In everyone's face. We'll cover it more tonight, 7 o'clock Central, InfoWars Nightly News. Paul Joseph Watson, anything else?
Well, I mean, it's just pathetic, Alex. America was the powerhouse of the 20th century, you know, because it helped defeat the Nazis. And you think of the U.S. Army and Iwo Jima and all those iconic images. And now they're pointing sniper rifles at journalists. I mean, this is pathetic. America's crumbling into a banana republic, and it was so respected and adored and admired for the entirety of the 20th century. And now look at what it's turning into. It's a banana republic, and it's saddening to witness.
And the same thing's happening in England and in Europe and Australia. It is the same formula of organized crisis and a takeover. Hopefully we're smart enough to see what's happening. We're smart enough to turn this around before it completely degenerates. Paul Joseph Watson, your article is red linked, the top of Infowars.com. Again, listeners, retweet it from Real Alex Jones. Retweet it from Prison Planet Live. Take this video of this live show. Send it out to everyone you know. We'll get it posted tonight early to Infowars.com so that everyone understands this is the orchestrated, incremental rollout of a permanent martial law state. Thank you so much, Paul Watson.
Thanks, Alex.
And thank you to our great crew doing an amazing job today. And thank you to all of you out there for your prayers and your support in these dangerous times. Tom in Missouri, and then Billy. Two final calls quickly. Tom, former Navy. Then we have a military police officer, Billy, I really want to talk to. Tom, fast, go.
Alex, hey, I was in Ferguson this weekend. Well, the feds are running this deal. I've got pictures of their mobile command center down there at the Target parking lot. And no one's reporting on it. All the news agencies are right there, and they act like this isn't going on. There's a great big gray Freightliner, unmarked mobile command center down there. There was a meeting out there about 12 o'clock on Saturday with probably 75 individuals, none of them in uniforms. And then when the one guy was walking away, I did get a picture of one FBI logo on there. They're running the show. It's not the local cops.
Oh, they've been running it day one. Well, we're aware of that command center. We're aware the feds are running it. It's important we send the reporters back there at the Target parking lot to show that. Sir, send us your photos and everybody else's news tips to showtips at Infowars.com with the authorization to repost it and details so we get our info right, okay?
Biggs has it. I sent it over to him, but I'll resend it.
Well, he's been on airplanes and totally overwhelmed and has lost 20 pounds. Yeah, so, yeah, just send it to everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Billy in California, you're our tail gunner here as we end the live show of military police.
Hey, Alex, you're right on point with everything you've been talking about. The feds have been running this from the beginning. They're starting it up in L.A. They're starting it up in Tennessee. It's going to be on in a neighborhood coming near you soon. So, you know what, you're right on point. They just want to bring in the MRAPs and bring in the full auto weapons and start the war. That's what they want.
And then Obama will pose as the savior trying to fix it and telling us if we're more politically correct, this will all stop.
Exactly. And you know what? I've heard kind of a biblical note sometimes, and you're right on point. We haven't humbled ourselves. We haven't looked for God, and our land will not be healed. It's going to go into ruin, just like it says, and that's where it's going.
Wow, I could talk to you for an hour. I'm sorry we're out of time. Call me back tomorrow. I'll try to get to you quicker. Okay, Billy?
Thanks, Alex.
All right, great job, crew. Again, I'm humbled to even be on the air covering all this. But we've predicted it. It's not hard to predict it when you know the game plan. They're playing everybody off against each other. We do not need any terrorism, I'll tell you that right now, but they're going to stage it and blame it on us.
We're on the march.
We need